listening to the Dynamic Women podcast. Each week, you'll be inspired by our global community of women. They'll share with you tools and stories to help you be dynamic in every area of life. Here's your host, award-winning coach, and the CEO and founder of Dynamic Women, Diane Rolston.
Well, here we go. Now, what I'm going to talk about today is how to direct message people without being salesy. You know, this is a question that I've had a couple of times, actually three times in the last little while from women in my Dynamic Women community. So the key thing that I want to share with you is around my experience with people DMing me, direct messaging me in Facebook and LinkedIn, and how they're going wrong in that capacity. And maybe you're making these fateful errors as well. I'm hoping that you're not, but if you are making these errors, it's going to be holding you back in your business and really in your life. So let's get this going. For those, there were a bunch of you who really wanted me to answer this question, and I'm going to read to you what the exact questions were so that you know how to message without being salesy. That's where we're going today. Or sakes you. That's what it says. And I don't want to put a Bitmoji in. So there were two questions that came from two people in my community. And here's one. And for Hannah and Renata asked these amazing questions. So right now, I'm just going to pull up the two questions that were asked of me, which, you know, really sparked this whole thing. So every week in my Dynamic Women community, I ask, what questions do you want me to answer? And these are the two questions that came up. And then I got another question for this. So that's like perfect. Hi, Mary Lee. Hi, Renata. So Renata, you asked me one of these questions. So I'm going to let everyone know what these two questions are. And then I'm going to talk about this a little bit more. So question one was, how do you approach social media contacts? So people on your Facebook, your LinkedIn, whatever you are, Instagram, without looking that it's like a pitch, right? Especially if it's a new connection. So what happens is, you know, you become friends with someone on Facebook, LinkedIn, you start following someone on Instagram, and then you can message them right away, but you don't know them, right? You don't know them fully. And so how do you come across as not being salesy or pitchy? That's the question. And then the second question, I think this one was Renata's, what is the best way to connect with people so they know that you care about them and that you are not trying to sell to them? So these are really, really great questions. And this shows me that these people really care about their community, that they really care about the people they're connecting with, or that they're a little self-conscious that they aren't, that they are actually selling and they shouldn't be selling. So Renata, you're saying your volume isn't working. Mary Lee or Paula. So how do you send these messages without being salesy? Well, let's first look at what happens when you receive a message from someone you know or someone you don't know that has come through, even an email. So maybe you've had this happen that says something like, hey, I love what you're doing. Have you thought about optimizing your website? Or it'll say something like, hey, I'd be a really great speaker for your community. Or it'll say something like, hey, I see you could be doing much better with your Instagram marketing, right? Have you had those? Have you had those lovely messages? So let's kind of break down those messages, and I'll share one other one with you. One of my personal favorites that is completely pointless is just a message that says, hi, how are you? Hi, how are you? Okay, I'm going to tackle that one first. So a message that says, and these are all the what not to do when you're messaging someone you know or someone you don't know. So the first one is, hi, how are you? Or just hello, how are you doing? Any of these kind of messages, I hate them because I am not in a place at that moment potentially to have a conversation. And so now I'm going to go into a full conversation with someone who I don't know why they're trying to reach out to me. So, you would never send a letter to someone that just says, "How are you?" It's just so open-ended. I don't know how to reply. So if I do reply, it's something like, "Good, great." And then it'll be something like, "What do you do?" And it's like, if you looked at my website, if you looked at any of my profile bio, you know what I do. So don't make me work because you want to talk to me. Maybe you resonate with that. Anybody resonate with that? Come on. Don't make me connecting with you hard because you're the one that wants to connect with me. So say more. So if you're going to reach out to someone, say more. Okay. And then let's get into unsolicited offers. So this is when someone messages, emails, Facebook message, LinkedIn message, and they say things like, "Hey, are you thinking about optimizing your website? Hey, do you want to get more leads on Facebook?" It's like, well, who doesn't? Who doesn't want good things for their business? Who doesn't want these things? But it doesn't mean that I'm ready to enter in a sales conversation with you about it because I don't know you. So you have to ask yourself, what are you leading with when you're messaging people? Because when people lead with like optimizing my website or increasing my Google ranking or whatever, I am not shopping for that. It'd be kind of like I'm hanging out at a concert and someone walks up to me and says, "Do you want to buy this watch?" And I'm like, I'm not even in a watch store. I'm at a concert. Don't bother me. And so that's how I actually feel about the place of being on Facebook or being on LinkedIn. Your first message should not be a solicitation, right? I'm not in your store. If I'm in your store, please, by all means, ask me if you can help me, right? If I'm on your website, have a thing that pops up that asks to help me. But I'm not on your website and I'm not reaching out to you. So you should not be offering to help me in that first message. I did not request solicitation in my inbox. Now, sometimes I do message people and I invite them to come to things, right? I'll invite them to come to an event or something. And with those, I don't expect a reply. So if I invite you to an event and it's, seems like a copy and paste or it seems like a mass invite and you don't reply to me, I'm totally cool with that. That's fine. I'm just like, hey, cool event coming up, want to come? And if people don't want to come, then they won't answer, and I'm fine with that. But let's look at some other things. So a message, I get messages all the time. Diane, can I speak to your community? Diane, I have a really great topic that your community wants. Well, how do you know that my community wants it? Right? You're leading with your own offer. You're not leading with anything that I should care about. Okay, let's think about this. So for the longest time for dynamic women, so we have live events. And for anyone who's wanting to speak to dynamic women at a live event or at my group events that we have, we do not have guest speakers. I don't know how many times I received unsolicited offers to speak to my group. I don't have speakers. I never have speakers. The only time we ever get close to a speaker is I do a panel. And when I do a panel, then I have people in there. But that's when I ask my community, who do you feel would be a great female mentor for the panel? So I ask my community who they would nominate. And so I have people all the time coming to me and saying, for these live events. And what really angered me is you have not looked at one piece of my content on my Dynamic Women website. You have not looked at the meetup events. You have not taken any time to care about what my business does with Dynamic Women. Because if you did, and this is me speaking to these people who offer their speaking, they would know that we never have a guest speaker speaking at our live events. That's not what we're about. And so when people say, we would be great, or I have this person that would be great, and our topic is amazing for your community. First off, I don't have guest speakers. And so when you send that to me, that shows me that you haven't taken the time or the care to even find out about what I do. So that really angers me. And for a while I was responding and saying, well, actually, no, we don't have speakers and blah, blah, blah. And now I'm just like, delete. Like, if you're not going to take the time to notice that, I'm not going to take the time to write you back. So this is something you have to think about. What are you leading with? Are you leading with your own agenda, or are you leading with something that would actually be for them? Now, you might challenge me and say, well, Diane, my topic, if I was to offer to speak, that would be helping them. Well, no, you're serving your own needs. Okay, here it was just like, I have this event coming up. Do you want to come? It's free. I'm like, that's okay. I'm okay with that. I'm just seeing what other ones. Yeah. How are you doing? How are you doing? Hello. Like, I'm not responding to that. Here's one. Are you currently doing anything around marketing? Of course, I'm marketing all the time. Okay, here's the other thing. The other thing that I often see is people will generally say, I love what you're doing to help others. I love how passionate you are about what you do. Now, that could be almost for anyone in the world, that type of comment. So if you're going to say, hey, I love what you're doing, give me specifics. So if you want to be on the Dynamic Women podcast, send me an email that says, hey, I love what you're doing. I listened to episode 34 that was about this, and man, I love when you said this, or I totally resonate with this piece, or I love my favorite two guests that you've had on, or this person and this person. I love that you stand for this. Like, actually show that you didn't just mass email hundreds of podcasters to try and be a guest. Like, actually show that you took the time. So here, someone says, I love what you're doing to help others. Would love to share how you can triple your leads for your business if you're interested. Okay, so that's not a huge hard sell or anything. But again, it's not specific. So this could have been a messenger bot that sent this to me. And I don't know how they're going to share that with me. Are they going to send me a report? Are they going to give me a mini course? Are they going to share a free webinar with me? Or are they going to sell to me? Like, I don't know. Let me pull up another one. And hopefully none of these are from you guys. How are you doing? How are you doing? How are you doing? Here's one. Hey, my name is so-and-so. Who is this about? Them. It's about them. Not about me. It's about them. I help coaches scale up and generate more leads and conversions through their website traffic. Great. So at least they're telling me what they do, but they say, I know you're busy. I just have a quick question. What has been your biggest challenge in getting clients through your website? Your input will help a lot. I really appreciate you helping me better serve my clients. So I'm going to help her to serve her clients. She helps coaches scale up and generate more leads. Well, I'm a coach who helps clients with their strategy, their ideas, their ability to work efficiently, to be more productive, to have more confidence, to have clarity. She's wanting clarity here. She's wanting support. So am I to then step into my coach role to support her? So I just didn't reply. And so sometimes people, the bad part is someone friends you and then the next message is soliciting to you. Let's see what this one is. Hey, Diane, how are you? I see you're a coach. That's cool. Okay. I don't know how to respond. I'm just seeing if I have any more to do. Okay. And then there's all the like, you're pretty. I love you. Marry me sort of ones. Let's look at this one. Hey, Diane, I know we don't know each other, but I'm expanding my business in your area. And I was just curious, would you be open to taking a look at what I'm doing and make some extra weekly income? If not, no big deal. Okay. So, what I like about this is like, I have permission to not answer her. Sometimes what'll happen though, is people will send that, but not the no big deal. And then they'll comment again and like, hey, you didn't reply to my message, or hey, I'm sending this again because you haven't replied. Now, if that's through my business page on Facebook, that messes up my response rates if I don't reply. And so sometimes I get into these, like, I have to reply because the person is going to mess with my messenger response rates, which, when you go on someone's business page, you'll say this person typically responds in 4 hours or 5 hours or 3 days. Well, if I don't respond to these messages and they're on my business page, this is going to extend that number, and I don't want it to, but now I'm wasting time engaging in these conversations where people are being self-serving. Okay. I should really have pulled up someone's that are like really good. Okay. I'm going to tell you about a story that's really good. Do you guys feel how I feel with these things around being salesy? Do you feel that? And Francis says, so if they want to friend you and haven't personally know them, then what's the point of accepting their friend request? Good question. And so my response to this is based on me being a business owner speaker who is in the public eye quite a bit. I will, generally, I friend females more than males because I do get unsolicited, like, marriage proposal kind of people coming in. I also will friend people that we have a lot of friends in common. But the other reason why I will friend people, and I still have, like, I think 1,000 people I haven't friended who've requested to be friends with me. I do like to know how I know them. And sometimes, as being a speaker in the public eye, sometimes people in my audience are people I don't know, right? So I'll speak to 1,000 people. I'm not going to know 990 of them. I'm going to maybe remember the 10 that spoke up, the 10 that were in the front row, the 10 that came and spoke to me after. I'm not going to know the other people. So I will say yes to their friend request if we have people in common or I recognize them and they're female because that's my ideal target market. And then, trusting that they're good people and we should be connected. So that's totally up to you, Francis, if that you want to accept a friend request from someone, then you need to make the decision if that is a good decision for you or not. For me, it often is a good decision for me because I do business on my Facebook profile. So have your own criteria for accepting friend requests. But if we get back to the main thing here around messaging, you can often message people without being connected to them, right? Or let's say you do become friends or you do become connected on LinkedIn and then someone messages you right away. Same thing happens in Instagram and Twitter, when I follow people and then I'll get this solicitation message. Okay, so what I've been talking about is being salesy happens when you lead with your own agenda. Also, being kind of awkward and weird in messages happens when you don't have a clear intention or you're not trying to connect with the person. So the key word here is connection. Connection. Connect with the person. And so in order to connect with someone, you need to have a topic that is worthy of connecting about. Okay? So if you wanted to talk to someone, so let's say you saw a famous person. Who's a famous person that you'd like to talk with? Imagine that person. Now, what do you admire about them? What do you like about them? If you know them and you like them, then you probably have some connection to them. So maybe you see Oprah, and I'm just going to use that because it seems like, majority of people know who Oprah is. You see Oprah. You see Ellen DeGeneres. You see someone else who's in the public eye and who does good work in the world. And so if you went up to them, would you just say, hey, Oprah, have me on your show? Not that she has a show anymore, but you know what I mean. Or, hey, Ellen, can you interview me? You wouldn't do that. You'd walk up and you'd say something like, hey, I love the work that you do in the world. I loved watching your interview with so-and-so. That was amazing. I love how you share so much positivity. I love how you have dance parties on your show. I love how you really fought for equality of women or equality of genders or equality of sexual orientation. Whatever it is, you've got something specific that you can say to talk about them, not talk about you. I don't know how many times I've had someone email me and the email tells me how awesome they are. I'm like, great. I'm glad you're awesome. Like clapping for you. And I'm not trying to be a jerk about this because I know everyone's feeling this way when this happens, when you get these messages. I'm just the one that's being vocal about it because this was a question. So the key thing is connection. And how do you connect? One of the easiest ways to connect is to acknowledge the person in a true way for something that you admire about them, that you like about them, that you want to acknowledge them for. So acknowledge them for something. And then speak to what's in it for them, right? That's the radio station that everybody's listening to. WIIFM. What's in it for me? That's what everybody is listening to. If you can tune into that, then the person may listen and may reply to you. So let me give an example how years and years and years ago, I don't know, maybe 7 years ago, 5 years ago, many years ago, I had an email. I don't remember the wording exactly. I've tried to find this email. And the email said, and I've had many emails that had a similar thing where they were talking about how my website needed to be better. So first of all, don't send me an email and tell me my website sucks and that you can fix it and that you found 20 things that could be better. Like that just makes me hurt. Like you hurt me sending that. So I had this woman send me an email that said, "Hey, Diane, love what you're doing." And she gave some specifics. And then she said, "If I can take the words from your own website, my words were something like, I tell it like I see it." And she goes, if I can borrow those words, I tell it like I see it. I see that you're doing such great work in the world. Compliment, right? What's in it for me? And I feel like you could be reaching more people. I'd love to do that for you. And then she went on to explain a little bit more about what that looked like. She was also wanting to hire me as her coach. So that was kind of a cool thing too. What was my response? I emailed her back and I was like, if you're ballsy enough to say that to me and to say that in that way with some humor and acknowledging me and showing that you actually know me and you've taken some interest and some care and attention to connect, then I will connect back with you. I actually ended up hiring her, and I did work with her for many years until I coached her out of doing marketing and website design. And so she went off and did what she's always wanted to do. And she's still doing that, and we're still in contact today. So how can you connect? So to the two people that asked this question of me, Renata, Farhana, how can you connect with the person? How can you lead what's in it for them? What's in it for them, right? So if you want to be on my show, my Dynamic Women podcast, if you want to be an expert trainer for the Dynamic Women community, if you want me to promote what you do, don't just say, here it is. Can you do this for me? Tell me why it's beneficial to me. Tell me that you have a big following. Tell me that you want to promote what I do. Tell me that you love certain episodes or you love certain shows. And even before that, here is a great, great tip. People on Instagram do this all the time. Go and like their stuff. Like their posts. Comment on their posts. Share their posts. Be in their face, not in a positive way, before you message them. Now, what's the benefit of this? Let's look at this. So let's say you're at an event and you see someone, in the room, and they smile at you, or they maybe come by and look at your table and compliment something. And then later at the end of the event, they'll come back to you and say like, hey, I'd love to have a conversation with you. Are you likely to have a conversation? Yes, because they've been smiling. They've been, maybe saying nice things, thanking you, complimenting you. You're going to give them the time to actually converse with them, right? You're going to do that because you felt a connection with them. So right now I'm going to take a pause. I'm going to ask you, what would you like people to do to come into your email box, to come into your Facebook Messenger, to come into your LinkedIn? What would you like them to do to be able to be thinking about what's in it for you and to be thinking about maybe the connection piece? What would do it for you? So be thinking about that right now. And here's a little tip for all my blonde friends who have roots. You can lighten your roots up with dry shampoo. I put a little dry shampoo on there just to lighten myself up a little bit. So there's a hack if you don't want to box dye your hair and cheat on your hairdresser. Okay. What kind of things, Jackie, would you like them to show how they know you better? Because, sometimes like people will message me and be like, what do you do? And that's them trying to show that they're getting to know me better. But in my mind, that's them making me work, or I'll have messages like, hey, Diane, I want to collaborate with you. And I'm like, then I have to like, okay, what do you want to collaborate on? Or what are you thinking? And they're like, I don't know, like, let's have a conversation. And that's work. I work. I got lots going on. So come with some ideas, and right now I've got my kids at home. Anyone else with kids at home? Yeah. How have I done so far in answering your question? And is there anything left that you still need to know? And know that on my Facebook Lives, anybody can create a watch party. And what that does is it just expands the reach of this post. And it brings these, tips and this learning to more people. And so if we need to educate people and stop being salesy in a Facebook Messenger box or wherever it is, then that's a good thing. Okay, here we go. Here are what some people are sharing. So Francis says, I want them to empathize with my post. This tells me they're not all about themselves. I work on doing the same thing, which expands my vocabulary and my empathy too. Awesome. Good. Yeah. Empathize with someone. Connect with them in some way. Now, I will fully admit, I drop DMs into people's direct messages into Facebook and such, inviting them to things. But again, I am not emotionally invested in them actually replying. And I'm not going to reply again, comment back and say, hey, you didn't get back to me. Jackie says she starts with small talk, I guess, conversation like where we are finding out about each other. Yes. Remind them, let them know. So, I had someone reach out and be like, hey, Diane, I'm so-and-so, this other person, which is actually the woman who emailed me about the website. She said, so-and-so told me that I need to get in contact with you. So I still needed context. I said, okay. And what made you then want to connect with me? And she said, oh, well, you talk a lot about confidence. And I do a lot of work around confidence. And so just, wanted to know what you're up to around that and wanted to just get to know you. And I was like, okay, fair enough. So we had a conversation, which was great. And so that I think is, a little bit of small talk. Yes. But really she was showing how we know each other. Everything is a learning curve these days, Jackie says. Yes. And why am I talking about this? What I'm talking about today is how to send direct messages and how to message people in Facebook, in LinkedIn, by email, whatever it is, when you maybe don't already have a connection, and how to not come across as someone with a pitch. As I said in my write-up, as a witch with a pitch, basically. I'm keeping this family friendly. And why is this important right now? Because there's so much opportunity online, right? So much opportunity online. But the same things go if you were sending a video, sending a voicemail. The same thing goes. The same thing applies. If you're going to cold call people, you need to very quickly say what's in it for them. Okay. So what do you really need to do? Let me pull this down here. What you really need to do, first of all, what I'd suggest you do is get on people's radar first. So what I love to get on people to get on my radar or me to get on other people's radar, I will go and like some of their posts. I will share some of their good content. I will actually write about why I think it's good. And so I'm doing all of this stuff on the side before I even go and connect with them. Why? Because when people do this to me or about my stuff, I take notice. I go, oh, who is this Sarah person? Who is this Tammy person who's liking my stuff, who's sharing my posts? And then what do? If someone shares my content and I realize they've shared it, I will go and I will thank them. Thank you for sharing this. And then I'm going to take notice. And then when they message me, so first step to the people who ask this question and to everybody else, the first step is to go out there and to give to that person by sharing their content. The second thing is find out what is important to them. Not what you think is important, but actually what is important to them. And you'll find out what's important to them by listening to some of their videos, their audios, their podcasts, read stuff on their website, read their bio. Their bio probably have what's important to them. One thing that's important to me, helping women in shelters. So I give money, I give, pajamas, underwear, that kind of stuff. And I also give my books to women in shelters. This is important to me. So if someone came to me and said, hey, Diane, I have a way that we can help more women in shelters, would love to share that with you, there's more of a chance I'm going to listen because it's about something that I'm really think is important. Okay. Also, if you listen to what I talk about, you'll know other things that are important to me. And so the whole homeschooling thing was important because I knew it was important to my clients. Right. And so because of that, because I, talked about that, I was then getting someone onto an expert training for my Dynamic Women community on how to homeschool without freaking out. So first thing, give to that person by acknowledging their work, sharing, liking their content. Second, find out about them. Find out what really, really they're passionate about, what really moves them, what really is important to them. Speak to that. And when you message them, don't make them do all the work. Don't just say, hey, how are you? Okay, I'm going to ignore that unless I know you somehow. But still, that's an annoying conversation. Tell me what you want to talk about. I don't want to have a messenger conversation. And then be in the place of how do I connect with this person? So again, you can acknowledge their work, but be detailed in the message so they actually know. Refer to something that they have done and try to come from a place, just come from a place of serving them first, and then they'll be able to reciprocate. When I notice that people have shared my content and then they ask me something, I'm just like, oh my gosh, yeah, let's talk. Renata's been sharing a lot of my stuff. That's why I wanted to make sure I picked this question this week. So Paula Kent often is on my watching these, is sharing stuff, is commenting on things. You bet that she's, when she asks something or when if there's a way I can support her, I do. And she knows that, for sure. So those are the things that you should do to not come across as salesy and pitchy in direct messenger. How are you going to show up differently? And, I have to take my own words of wisdom here. Sometimes I try to get straight to the point with people without connecting. That's my A type. And sometimes I forget and I have to follow my own advice. So onto the Dynamic Women podcast. What I'd love for you to do is go over there and subscribe. Subscribe to the podcast so that you don't miss any of the content that I share. Share from me and share from my Dynamic Women experts. Also, what I encourage you to do is if you are wanting to be on the Dynamic Women podcast, a really great place to start is to go and review the Dynamic Women podcast. Give us a 5-star review, write about what you liked about it. And that is a really great place to start to get on my radar. If you have a very large following and you would like to share some of my content out to your large following and you'd like to do it in a solo email or something, reach out to me. Again, that would be a really great way to connect with me. And you have an opportunity to get more of this amazing content into your inbox. So go over to DianeRolston.com and go in there and pop your info in, the best email that I can reach you at. And you're going to get some notifications about when I go live. You're going to get invites to free trainings. Renata says, thanks so much. I appreciate the great advice. It gives me a new perspective and to get out of my head and serve. Jackie says, I'm always conscious of how I connect with people. Francis, takeaway, be more expansive when connecting so you'll be memorable. Like, share, compliment, gratitude, and remember what's in it for them. Exactly. And the key thing about that, it's not that I don't care about people. Oh my gosh, that's the problem. I care too much about people. But as I've kind of expanded the success in my business, I get more and more of these requests, and I just don't have the bandwidth to reply to them all. I can remember giving permission to a woman who's doing very, very well. And I said, you don't have to reply to everyone. And she was like, I don't. And she's the sweetest person. And it was just killing her. It was taking so much of her time. And so if you want to get to the front of the line, like Francis said, be memorable. If you're liking and sharing and commenting on people's stuff, they're going to give you more of their time because it's that act of reciprocation, right? I want to reciprocate to you because you're super great. So when people are sitting in my audience and they're nodding and laughing and commenting and in the right ways, doing callbacks, at the end, I want to go and meet them, right? Okay, I think that's all then for today. So I encourage you, if you want to not be salesy in your Facebook messengers, in your other DM locations on LinkedIn and Instagram, and even in your emails, one, make sure you get on the person's radar first, by liking, sharing, commenting on their content. Second, find out what is important to them by going to their website, watching some of their videos, and lead with that. Lead with what's in it for them. Make the conversation easy, make it very clear, and make sure that you're looking for that C word, the really good C word, connection. Connect with the person. Connect by acknowledging them. Connect by knowing something about them. Make it more detailed rather than generic, because otherwise I think that you have copied and pasted this to hundreds of people. I thank you for joining. I acknowledge you for spending your time, your energy, listening to me today. And the best thing that you can do for yourself is to take one nugget, and actually go and apply it. And in this case, the 3 nuggets of how to connect really well without being salesy. Now, why do we want to do this? More opportunities, more leads, expanding your network, all of the beautiful, beautiful results that come from really expanding your business in a very positive and connected way. Bye, everyone. Have a great day. Take care.
Thank you, Dynamic Women, for joining us today. Please hop on over to iTunes to subscribe and leave us a review. Who do you know who needs to hear our message? We'd love it if you'd share our channel with your friends and family. If you're ready to be more dynamic, have more balance and more success, head over to www.dynamicwomenclub.com/free gift for your Key to Success book. Stay dynamic.